Hi, I'm Kyle Carlin. This is my case study for EDL 856, School Community Relations at Fort Hays State University. With this case study, I really found it really an interesting situation that we had to analyze. And so here goes my my analysis of that. The first section was we had to identify the problem and kind of analyze the problem a little bit. The first step was to identify what do we know. First of all, I notice that there's no formal parent organization at JFK school. There was one in the past, but there isn't anymore. The principal has kind of a fixed mindset about the parents in his building. He's not really motivated to lead change in that area. I'm not sure if this fixed mindset is because of past experiences that have gone awry, or if it's just kind of his overall perception of parents. But that fixed mindset, I think, is important as we move forward. The principal's perception of the community seems to be based on limited data, just phone calls, not really, the communication streams seem a little limited, but then also maybe by past frustrations. It sounds like he's tried some things in the past that just didn't work as well as he was hoping, and that he's kind of gotten complacent with that. And then the principal was interested in forming a parent advisor group, but not a PTO, so that gives us an opportunity that we can leverage going forward. We also know that communication about the meeting was unclear. The time, like in the message that was sent out about the parent meeting that was set up, the time was, or the date was kind of confusing. It was sent out on a Friday, and it said something about the following, a week from this following Monday, or a week from this coming Monday, which for some people that might be a little confusing to, it wasn't clear. Put the actual date and the time in it, and it'll make it much more clear. And the purpose of the meeting was kind of ambiguous. It did mention about parent involvement, but it didn't say involvement with what, or clarifying that. The message was sent home with students, so we know that that is at least one way in which they communicate with parents. We know that at the meeting there were 8 parents who showed up, which while they seemed displeased with that number, at least 8 showed up, and that would have been a good place to start. And then the principal did not want to proceed at that point. We know that was the case. What we don't know is when did the past parent organization stop? Was it several years ago? Was it at the same time that the principal joined? Is there any overlap with this principal and any past parent organizations? I'd be interested to know how that relationship has been. We also don't know what led to the ending of the parent organizations. Was it strong leadership that left? Was it just a general disinterest that led to them falling apart? Or was there kind of a poor relationship between the school and the parent organization? Don't really know that. How long has the principal been there? That kind of helped guide some understanding of how long they've been in the community and how much they really understand about the community. And then, does the principal have other connections with the community that are not shared? What was shared was limited connections, limited conversations with parents through phone calls. I wonder if he's got other connections in the community that he's not sharing, or that the story doesn't share, that would explain his reasoning for his strong opinion. Also, how many parents... We also don't know how many parents wanted to attend but couldn't because of the time or the logistics of it. How many parents would have attended if the message would have been clearer? Why did the parents the principal had talked to not wanted to be involved? All things that would have helped guide the next actions. And then what was the principal's reasoning for concluding that trying harder would make the situation worse? I could see if you were trying to communicate it in a way that was disrespectful, where parents would see that as a negative and wouldn't want to engage. But I feel like if we were to try appropriately, we could have more appropriate or have increased parent participation and involvement. Okay. So the problems that I identify from what we do know and what we don't know, certainly there's parent apathy, that their engagement with the school is limited. There's also administrator apathy in that he doesn't want to take that on as a challenge. He doesn't want to push that forward. He's kind of just fine with where things are. The biggest problem that I identify in this is the communication. both to parents and from parents. It seems like the communication to parents is unclear, maybe goes through ineffective channels, and it's not clear that there's very many channels for parents to communicate back to the school, and that alone can lead to parent apathy, because if they don't feel like their problems are being addressed, then they're going to just start not caring, and they won't be trying to find ways to get those problems fixed. So, okay. Next, I propose a plan, as if I was the assistant principal at that meeting, and I'm taking it from the point where the principal says, I don't want to do this, and wants to cancel the meeting. My first step would be to mitigate further damage to parent relationships by convincing the principal to go forward with the meeting. We have 8 parents there who are wanting to be engaged, who have taken the initiative to show up. The least we can do is honor that. If we cancel the meeting just because there's only 8 of them, that conveys to them that their opinion doesn't matter, that it also conveys that their time wasn't worth it, and it can come across as disrespectful. Parents who maybe are energized and wanting to do something, they may become frustrated because they're trying and the school keeps stopping it. We can also use that meeting as a way to start the conversation. We're not going to solve the problem in this meeting, but we can start talking about the needs, talk about what the perception from the parents' point of view is, from the school's point of view, and start having a conversation on how we can make that better. Like I say, solutions can come later, but we need to start that conversation as soon as we can. And we absolutely don't need that relationship damaged, especially with parents who are actively trying to be involved. The next plan of action is I would take the initiative from the principal and form that parent advisor group. If he's not okay with a more formal organization, that's fine. We can start that conversation and figure out what we need. So form an advisor group, have regularly scheduled meetings where people know when they can come to and when they can communicate, and that starts strengthening that relationship with your parents. Take what we already have and start building them, making them stronger. We can reach out to those people who attended the first meeting and try and get them involved with this group, but also seek out more diverse voices to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be heard. And lastly, when we are having these meetings, make sure all parents have been invited and know that they can attend, and that's an avenue that they can share their thoughts about the school, and trying to get this conversation going about how to get parents more involved. So this is just that parent advisor group would be a great second step after mitigating concerns. So, in addition to forming that group, the advisor group, we can also start working on the different communication channels to make sure that communication can go out to parents and back to the school in multiple methods. That way, no matter who we're trying to reach, we do reach them. But also, it ensures that it's not just a one-way communication. It's not just the school talking to the parents. It's them feeling like they have some input. Can encourage parent input through social media, phone calls, messages to teachers and admin, just letting them know, hey, we want to hear your voice, and then giving them the avenues to do so. Making sure that we have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media makes sense for your school. Making sure that there's an avenue for phone calls to be able to talk to the teacher or admin, and also even having like comment boxes and stuff like that can help show that you really do want these messages heard, or want these messages from them. We could set up a perception survey. There's several options out there. You could do a perception survey of parents and staff to kind of get an idea of what is the overall view of our school. We can find out how teachers communicate with parents and see if maybe we can piggyback on some of that, maybe scale some of it up to the whole school if there's some that work really well, but make sure that the messages we are developing will fit into the ways that we are communicating with parents. As a school, we can start using our newsletters, or start using a newsletter, email, and social media to communicate with parents. In addition to notes going home with students, having more than one way of getting information out there ensures that it reaches everybody. Ensures that messages sent to parents are vetted for clarity and a consistent message. The worst thing about sending out an email or a message that is unclear is it creates frustration. It looks unprofessional. It makes people feel like they don't know how to engage. Even if they want to, they don't really know how to do so, and so they're less likely to. And then we need to consider how most people get information about the community, ensure that we're getting information in that media. If everybody goes to your local newspaper, gets all their information from their local newspaper or the local radio, we need to make sure that we have our communication going out through that means in addition to the other ways that we send out information. And then from the rest of my plan of action is to develop a plan from that parent and staff input, from the different communication streams, from that advisory group, taking that information. At this point, it's really hard to say what specifics would be, because every community, what those specific things are might be different, because it really needs to be fitted to that group or to your community. But some of the things that might be included are themed family nights, that where quarterly or monthly you have a night where the whole school comes together, parents are invited, food's provided, and you really engage the parents and the kids in some aspect of what the school is going through. Maybe it's introducing them with their math curriculum, practicing math facts. Maybe it's a STEM challenge or something else. Another step might be formation of a parent organization. Maybe that advisory group will help the principal realize that, hey, this is something that really people are really wanting, and would then change his mind on that. Could work on trying to find ways to involve parents in activities during the school day, such as in-class volunteers, reading volunteers, celebration assemblies with parents invited. Make sure that as the principal that you're sending home personalized notes to parents that have participated, especially those that maybe it's their first time you've really seen them in the school, letting them know that, hey, you saw them there and you really appreciated it, just helps encourage them to come back more. And then making school more accessible to all parents, having a diverse time for events so that if work schedules prevent a school day activity, that maybe they can come to an evening activity. Using social media, live streaming, other avenues to help get information to people when they can consume it. Not necessarily, even if they can't be there live, maybe we can do a live stream to allow them to feel like they're participating in some of those activities. Okay. Then implementing my plan, mitigation should start immediately. Formation of at that point, the parents are already there. We have to act right then. We can't just cancel it. We have to be mitigating that potential damage and damage to that relationship, and we have to get moving forward. So the mitigation should start immediately. The formation of that parent advisor group, that can take place over the course of a week or 2 weeks of having conversations with different people, finding a time when it would work best, and getting that meeting scheduled. You can schedule the first meeting, send out a clear message, include the purpose, date, and time, make sure we're providing food. That encourages or leads to more higher likelihood that parents will show up, and we can get that conversation started. We need to involve parents on the group and school staff to strengthen communication channels, and make sure that we're informing our decisions through the input of the advisory council. We need to improve the channels to communicate about upcoming events and actions being taken, and then use established channels to communicate about the new channels. People don't know that you have a Facebook page if you're not communicating it through a means that they're already getting information. So it's a matter of trying to bolster that, using what you already have to build up what you are building. So, okay. And then as events and new actions are developed through the advisory council, we can use the established and the new channels to communicate about the events. Make sure that that events start and end on time. We need to make sure that we start and end the events on time to respect people's time, follow through with all actions that we promise, and then share about those events once they've happened. That way people know, and then maybe they can look forward to it the next time. Alright, now that we've talked about the plan and implementing the plan, I'm going to go through Category 3, resolving the issues based on promoting the success of all students. And when we think about what is best for all students in regards to parent involvement. We know that strong school community connections improve student experiences and account for improved school culture. All of these things we know increase learning from Hattie and Marzano and several other researchers. They're different ways that they've shown how important school culture is to learning. Parents who feel connected to school share more positive messages about learning to their children, which again will help their children develop a positive mindset about school and will support their overall learning. And then parent engagement in their child's education improves learning and social development through shared experiences, a shared vision about their school, about what's going on in the school, and it allows the parent to reinforce the ideas being taught from an academic and a social emotional point of view for their kids. Everything that's being taught in school they can reinforce if they know about it. So some of the data from the case that I included, we know that at least 8 parents were interested in the meeting. Our plan should include them. We need to take those 8 and develop more around them. We know the principal is willing to change his mind on this issue because he went from not wanting to have a meeting to being okay with it, though he is still resistant. So we must find a way for there to be early success to grow that sentiment. If we encounter hiccups early, then it might make him want to pull back on this. But if we're having success, he might get more involved and be more energized for this mission. And then the lack of a parent organization makes things difficult because the parent organization can help get things rolling. It can show a certain level of importance to it, but it doesn't mean it's impossible not to, if with that missing. It's just something that we need to be mindful of and work through. Okay. Now I'm going to debrief the problem, talking about what I was thinking, feeling, and valuing as I was working through this case study. First of all, I was thinking about the shared apathy due to frustration. Of course, the parent apathy is a big part of it. That's kind of the main point of the assistant principal's frustration and what she's wanting to do. But the principal also is frustrated because of things he's tried in the past and aren't working. The principal has resigned himself to this. That this is how it is, and it can't be any better. We definitely need that to be better, but that does make it hard. And in my thinking, I was also thinking there must be a way forward through this. We can't just stop and not try to improve this. The impact of parent engagement on learning is too high to just resign ourselves to the fact that this is how it's going to be. Some of the feelings I was having while I was working through this is frustration, thinking about the assistant principal going to the principal and kind of being shut down, how frustrated that could be, but also having empathy for the principal in recognizing, or empathy for the principal because of where he did try and it didn't work. I can understand why you'd become frustrated and just feel like you don't have a chance at impacting that. And then I also felt hopeful because there were 8 parents who showed up. That's a great number that we can start with and start having that conversation with. It showed that there was somebody. If nobody showed up, maybe I would have felt like, oh, well, I don't even know where to start. But those 8 give us a good idea of what did they see important about this? What do they want to see improved with the school? How do they think that we can involve more parents? That's just a great way to start. And as I was thinking about this, about the case study, I was valuing the action of the people who did show up. Doing things is sometimes hard, especially when they're out of our comfort zone or out of our habits. And so just the act of showing up is a huge first step. I was valuing the importance of parent engagement. I worked in a lot of schools where parents really are involved and there's a strong PTO or PTA group, and I recognize how important that is and value where that assistant principal is trying to get their teacher or get their school. But then also valuing the need for more information. There's a lot, as with every case study, they make it ambiguous to allow for discussion and things. But there's a lot of information that needs to be known more about the principal, the school, even just knowing the age and what kind of school this is. It might change some of the ways you address it. So, okay, some unresolved issues that I feel like we couldn't really address, and it's hard to make a plan to address those. I guess the only way I'm addressing them is through that advisory council that hopefully would answer some of this. First of all, what barriers are preventing parents from participating? If we know what is keeping them from participating, it tells us where we need to focus our plan. The principal's mindset about parents, that's something that it's unresolved. The plan, I guess, does kind of address it in trying to have some early success. So the principal will continue to allow things going forward, maybe change their mind a little bit. But it's something that I personally wouldn't have a lot of influence on, and it's hard to plan for that. And then considerations of unintended consequences. Every action you take has an opportunity for unintended consequences. We might try and schedule these events, and then it creates some issues with our teachers because we scheduled it outside of school hours, and the relationship isn't there to get that time, or they don't feel they're being compensated. They feel like it's just extra work. We have to make sure that we're keeping in mind how all of our decisions will affect all parties to minimize those unintended consequences. And so I'm going to reflect on Standard 7 a little bit. First of all, with the collaboration, my plan addressed collaboration with families by opening communication channels and developing a parent advisory group that can speak for a wide range of families. I also feel that my plan addressed the diverse needs of my community by developing actions to take input from all parents and by considering different times and means for involving parents with different schedules and transportation. And I also considered community resources by considering how people get information about within my community, and it allows me to get information into the media that will be most effective and take advantage of the resources available to me. So if we're considering how we're communicating with or how our families are already getting information, we can use those resources already and develop it. Even some of those family event nights that in my plan, we could incorporate outside organizations also to come talk about what they do, try and add value to the parent experience. So, okay. And then component 1 within this, for considering the academic success for all students, I feel like I addressed that through increasing parent engagement in school, because increasing parent engagement in school will support student learning through broader experiences and increased positive view of education, which we know that it improves academic success. It'll creating parent nights based on various academic themes can help parents understand what their children are learning and can give them resources to support their child's learning at home. When parents and children feel more connected, communication becomes easier. This allows for quick response to learning difficulties before they require more intensive interventions. In the same way with personal well-being, the increased communication and frequent events at the school in my plan makes parents feel they are part of the school. The school culture and climate are improved when parents and others feel welcome and included in the school, and that school culture just helps develop student social emotional skills. So, as with academics, theme nights that focus on social, emotional, and physical wellness can help parents identify ways to support their child's mental and physical wellness, and helps them build on the things being taught in school. And then a strong connection with school can be a source of resilience for students who have experienced trauma. This connection is improved when parents are more engaged in what is happening in the school, and this supports the lifelong wellness of every student. And then community of engagement, by mitigating the damage that would have occurred in the scheduled meeting, if the scheduled meeting were proposed or postponed, it allows the 8 people who did attend to be willing to engage, and it maintains the engagement that is already in place. If we cancel that meeting, there's a lot of those 8 parents, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them would have just given up, and it would have made it even harder for us. Also, by providing various events and different times of the day, my plan ensures that all parents that want to be involved have an opportunity to do so. Also, by shaping the plan based on the input of the parents, it increases the likelihood that the event or that the events will meet the parent needs. And then by increasing communication channels, it allows parents to feel their concerns are being heard and develops trust in the system. Apathy usually comes from a belief that action will not matter. My plan shows that action put in through communication or attendance will be met with acceptance and will make a difference in how things are being done. Okay. And that's it for my case study. I really enjoyed processing through this and thinking about how to involve parents more in the schools. But thanks for listening. I hope I've really enjoyed learning with everybody that's gone through this class. Have a great day.